Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has brainwashed an entire generation into believing that going to the ground turns you into an invincible fighter. The truth is, step off the mats into the streets and that fantasy collapses in seconds. If you're banking on BJJ to save you in a real fight, you're a delusional casualty waiting to get stomped, stabbed, curb checked, or worse. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why BJJ fails on the street and what to do when the fight goes to the ground. Let's check it out. Now it's time to expose exactly why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu collapses in real violence. What you're about to see are just a few of the glaring omissions and fatal flaws that make BJJ completely unfit for the streets. And remember, this is only a fraction of what's missing. People worship BJJ like it's the ultimate answer to self-defense. But what they refuse to admit is that it only works inside a fake, padded environment, on soft mats with rules and safety built into every single exchange. Strip all of that away and BJJ is not combat. It's a sport built in a make-believe world that vanishes the moment real violence explodes. Every time someone swears BJJ works in the street, I already know the truth. They've never tasted real violence in their life. Because when multiple attackers swarm you, when blades start flashing, when a rage meth head stomps your head on the concrete, your precious BJJ becomes a one-way ticket to the emergency room or the morgue. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu completely ignores the most critical stage of real violence, the pre-contact phase. And here's the brutal truth. In real combat, the one who controls the pre-contact phase almost always controls the outcome. BJJ teaches you nothing about tactical stances, no de-escalation stance, no natural stance, no explosive first strike posture. There's zero training in tactical threat assessment, no verbal de-escalation, no first strike doctrine, no scenario-based drills to prepare you for the split-second go, no-go moment when violence erupts. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is also built around the deadly fantasy of taking the fight to the ground. And in the streets, the ground is exactly where you die. If you take someone down to pull guard in a real fight, you instantly lose mobility, visibility, situational awareness, and total control of your environment. Because while you're tangling up with one attacker on the concrete, his friends aren't waiting their turn. They're going to stomp your skull, kick your head in, slash you with a blade, or smash you with anything they can grab. This is the brutal reality of the street. BJJ has zero solution for that nightmare. BJJ treats ground fighting like it's a slow game of physical chess. Positions, transitions, reversals, and submissions. Move, counter, trap, finish. That may work in a safe, controlled environment, but in real street violence, there is no time for chess. No pacing, no guarantee you're facing one opponent or the environment won't turn deadly in seconds. Don't get me wrong, ground fighting skills are critical for street survival, but only if they're fast, brutal, and street safe. In contemporary fighting arts, I built exactly that kind of system. We never rely on long grappling exchanges because the longer you stay on the ground, the higher your chances of getting stomped, stabbed, or killed. That's why today I'm releasing another ground fighting video titled Ground Fighting in the Streets that covers these exact survival skills. It's available for sale on my website at sammyfranco.com. And if you're a War Machine Elite member, you can now stream it for free inside the members only section of this channel. And if you're not already a War Machine member, click the join button below to check out all the different membership options we have available. On top of CFA's ground fighting skills, we also have a nuclear option that destroys every other ground system. It's called Savage Street Fighting. Savage Street Fighting is the ultimate use of force option. It delivers overwhelming shock that overrides technique and forces instant disengagement. It doesn't play the BJJ game. It shuts the ground fight down completely. Whether your opponent is a street brawler, MMA fighter, wrestler, or BJJ black belt, Savage Street Fighting makes them abandon the ground fight immediately. If you want to watch the full Savage Street Fighting instructional video, it's available for sale on sammyfranco.com. And War Machine Elite members can also stream it for free right here in the members only section. Hey, we're about to get back into the video, but let me ask you something. Do you want to legitimately accelerate your self-defense skills? And are you sick of clickbait videos teaching absolute garbage? Or tired of being misled by unqualified wannabe experts who have zero credibility or experience? If the answer is yes, now is the time to join my War Machine memberships. As a member, you're going to get exclusive access to in-depth training videos, exclusive full-feature video content, downloadable training PDFs, and direct insights you're not going to find anywhere else. Plus, you're going to have direct access to me in the comments section of all my videos. So if you have questions, you're going to get real, detailed answers from me and not some random keyboard warrior. So if you're serious about mastering real-world combat skills, hit the join button below and start training like a true war machine. Now, let's get back to the lesson. Here's another deadly flaw most BJJ students never consider until it's too late. What happens when you're already tangled on the ground and a weapon suddenly enters the fight? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teaches zero weapon defense, no knife training, no firearm disarms, no understanding of improvised weapons, nothing. The bottom line is a legitimate self-defense system must prepare you for these scenarios, and BJJ leaves you completely helpless. I have a direct question for every single BJJ practitioner out there. What are you going to do when you're faced with multiple attackers? I'll wait. Silence, of course. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is strictly a one-on-one system. Everything is built around facing a single opponent in a controlled environment. Period. But the street doesn't work that way. Real violence rarely comes alone. What happens when a second attacker suddenly joins in? Or a third? Or even more? BJJ has no answers. None. Because the moment you commit to the ground, you've already surrendered control of the environment and turned yourself into an easy target for boots, blades, and group stomping. Let's now destroy the common excuse, some training is better than nothing, Sammy. Wrong. Bullshit. That mindset is extremely dangerous. It builds a deadly false sense of confidence. You start believing you can control real chaos simply because you can control a willing partner on the mats. And that illusion is exactly what gets you seriously hurt or even killed. Because when you feel ready, you engage in self-defense situations you can't actually handle, and you walk straight into disaster. That's not survival, that's pure delusion. It's like walking into a hurricane thinking your little umbrella will save you. And for those idiots out there who say it's not the system, it's the fighter that matters, that excuse is pure stupidity. It's exactly what people say when they refuse to admit their training is seriously flawed. In real violence, you don't magically rise to the occasion. You default to the system you've trained, period. If the system is built for sport and rules, the person performs like a sport fighter. If the training is incomplete and unrealistic, the performance will be incomplete and unrealistic. Garbage training produces garbage results on the streets. A lot of people will also say, I just add BJJ with MMA, boxing, or karate, so I'm covered. Nice try, but that solution doesn't hold up on the street. Even if you mix in striking techniques, your training still revolves around one-on-one rule-based sparring or choreographed crap. You're still practicing controlled exchanges, not chaotic, adrenaline-fueled violence with real consequences. Real street survival demands more than bolting pieces together into a Frankenstein system. It requires a reality-based self-defense system built from the ground up for uncontrolled chaos, not sport rules with a little extra striking added on. That is the difference between training for sport and training for survival. BJJ builds athletes, CFA builds survivors. And if you think otherwise, you're not arguing with me. You're arguing with reality. And reality always has the final word, usually with boots, blades, or a trip to the morgue. If you want to train like a survivor instead of a statistic, check out the links below for ground fighting in the streets and savage street fighting. Also, hit the join button below if you're ready to become a member of the War Machine Elite. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next video.
From the ancient Colosseum, where gladiators lived and died, to the storm-torn seas, where iron met flesh upon shattered decks, to the battlefield, where wrath carved kingdoms in blood, bone, and steel, we follow the War Machine. War Machine Chronicles celebrates the warrior archetype, the ethos society seeks to suppress, to soften, to erase. From the age of iron and blood, where warriors roared defiance in the face of death, to all men who still feel the war drum beat beneath their skin, written for fighters, soldiers, and survivors. For those who still walk the edge, it is transformation, forged to harden the mind, discipline the body, and sharpen the will. War Machine Chronicles, not just a book, it's a sacred codex of wrath. Over 300 pages, more than 100 haunting illustrations, combat verse, and lethal philosophy forged by Sammy Franco. War Machine Chronicles, not just a story, but a weapon. It teaches, it tests, it transforms. War Machine Chronicles, available now on Amazon in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle.